Hi, guys. Welcome to the Church Split. My name is Will, and this is a different episode than normal, so stay tuned. If you want to hear about my personal life and just hear some funny stories and all that, and just kind of know what really happened with this whole health issue of mine, stay tuned. You get to hear the entire story from me today. So it's a story time with Will, but an entire episode of it. So that way you guys know. Now, just so you know, if you want to give to my medical recovery, that you can find that in the description below. And that'll be a huge help if you're able to give, if you're able to share it, whatever you're doing, or even just pray, because we are very confident the Lord is going to take care of us. So, and just so you all are aware, yes, I am a youth pastor and a missions pastor at my church, at One Life Church. And if you are curious, the church has said that they would like to help where they can. But of course, my bill is about $23,870, which means that that's probably pretty excessive. I have raised almost $8,000 myself, and it'd just be a huge help for anyone to be able to give whatever they can give. If you're like, well, I can't give $1,000, I can't give $500, but I can give $10. Cool. If every single one of our subscribers did something like that, we'd easily be able to have this entire expense covered. So let me tell you a little bit about what happened. I'll tell you a story from beginning to end, and I'll show you pictures at the end and some funny things with my daughter on it and the whole 9 yards. So first off, I took this job in October is when I started. October 1st is when I moved to Evansville, Indiana from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I was a pastor up in Michigan for a while, and now I am here serving as a youth pastor and a missions pastor. And it has been an awesome time, except for a lot of the challenges that we've had. I've said it regularly where on the spiritual front and the church front, that's been going awesome. On the church split front, it's been going awesome. And the relationship front, it's been going awesome. But in the personal, like financial side, it's been going difficult because not only did I take a job that made me less than 50% of what I used to make, so that way I could continue to serve and do what I'm passionate about, but also because we've had a lot of mishaps since we moved into the house. So when we first moved into the house was absolutely trashed. The people who we bought the house from did not take good care of it. And the pictures didn't show that. When they showed the house, it wasn't that, but like when they moved furniture, there was completely parts of the house that were like unpainted, like just covered by furniture. And there was, when you move furniture, there was like parts where they redid the trim, but like the trim actually has giant gaps in it. When you actually look at it, there was like dried juice from children, like all over the walls behind stuff. It was just nasty, and the backyard was trashed. So we got all that squared away. And then one day, the basement started to flood, and I looked up, and during this crazy storm, and in the middle of the storm, I went up and my gutters were falling off, and that's part of it. So I fixed the gutters, and then it still kept flooding, and my sump pump wasn't working, but I didn't know that until a couple weeks later when it rained again. My sump pump didn't work and it flooded my basement, so I had to fix that. And then I found out my realtor from Michigan, she completely misled us on the deal, explained it one way, and it actually was another way, just to close the deal and then basically ghost us. And even though we fought the company, we had nothing in writing, so we had nowhere to go, which cost us another $3,500 out of pocket. Basically, I was told that there was a certain thing that the buyers wanted with our house to be covered that I said I wasn't willing to pay, and they said they'd take it out of the commissions. And I said, as long as I'm not writing anyone a check and taking money out of my savings account, I don't care. If you guys want to take it out of your commissions, that's fine. And they said, no worries. That's what we'll do. We'll just cover it with our commissions and you don't have to worry about it. Well, what ended up happening is that they actually just discounted the commissions, and that's not how they explained it to us. And then in the end, we had to write $3,500, even though I expressly told my realtor that that was the exact opposite of what I wanted to do. But they explained it to me one way, and it actually was the other. So we kind of got duped on that one. We had the flooding, so I had to replace my sump pump. I had a kidney stone that I passed about a month and a half ago. Now, this was the same kidney stone that plagued me about a year and 4 months ago, almost a year and a half. And I thought I had some other issue. I was trying to make a doctor's appointment, and then come to find out it was just one kidney stone that was bothering me for ages. And I finally passed it, which was painful, but good grief, it was horrible. I just kept getting flare-ups, and I thought it was some other problem because I thought the kidney stone was dealt with, and apparently it wasn't. But thank the Lord that passed. And then about a month and a half later, I break my leg. So it's been like an arduous journey since moving here of just a lot of stuff happening. I'm not a superstitious person, but there's also part of you just goes wonders of like, is this some sort of like spiritual warfare? Like, what is happening here? But even though I am a strong believer of the supernatural, and I definitely believe in demonic forces and all that, I'm also not the Christian that believes that every time something bad happens, you blame God or the devil. But also, there's been so many things since taking this job at the church, and we're having so many good strides at the church in our ministry that you can't help but ask questions, right? I can't help but wonder, and you're just like, Lord, just protect us, whatever's going on from our own stupidity or whatever could be happening. We don't know. So anyhow, that is some of those trials we've experienced up to this point, which has cost us a lot more money than we had originally planned when we moved here. We had a financial plan and everything was going smoothly until it wasn't. So then what ended up happening, so the church did not have insurance. That was one of the things that they said they didn't have. We went back and forth. That's one of the reasons why I considered almost declining it. But then if you work part-time at Starbucks, you qualify for insurance, and it's actually pretty good insurance. And so my wife was like, well, I'll get a part-time job there. And it was explained to her one way, or she misunderstood it. My wife's like, I don't know. It was very complicated. So she's like, I may have misunderstood, but I thought they said it this way, but it was really this way. So we didn't get insurance when we wanted to. And it was going to start up, coming to find out, in June now, which was fine. So we went to, we had some friends that moved into the area, and we were all off last Friday, 3 Fridays ago. And we went to a trampoline park. And by the way, this trampoline park's right by the church. We've been there a few times, even the youth group. I've done trampoline parks my entire life. I've done martial arts my entire life. I've always been pretty spry. I've done that sort of thing. So I've never, ever thought of it as being an issue. And I did multiple flips there, and my kid was just laughing, having a good time. And then I did a few backflips, and I missed him a couple of times, like, oh, we're good, just got to get that spin right. And I landed on my knees, as one does when you screw up on a backflip. And so, but then when I did the backflip the last time, I came down like this, and here's the trampoline, okay? So it's not the hard part. It's literally just the trampoline, the springy part, the soft part. My foot came down and landed just barely on the tippy top of it. And then it was just my tibia and my fibula snapped backward and around, just broke right under. It was the most freak thing. Even pretty much everyone has said it, like, you just hit the right speed and angle for that just to snap right under pressure. So it was a spiral break. This was rough because I just cracked. My wife was across Sky Zone and she could hear my leg break. Like, that's pretty intense. I'm like laying there, and there's this 8-year-old girl like resting against the wall, and her eyes are just like as big as marbles. Just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened to him. And so my wife runs over. My buddy was with me. We were doing flips, and the kids were having a great time. And he was landing them. I was kind of landing the back flips. And I really felt good about that last one. And then apparently that was not something to feel good about. So they rushed over, and I'm like, it's broke. It's freaking broke. So just so you guys know, it wasn't my ankle that broke. It was right above my ankle. So if this is like your ankle, like the wrist here, I broke this. I broke it above it like by about 3 inches. Broke both bones. So my foot is actually, an ankle are just dangling. Okay. It's the weirdest feeling. If you've never broken a bone, feeling your bones just kind of like clock around in there. It's just super weird because your bones don't have feeling, but everything else does. So you just feel the clicking around through your muscles and you hear it, but your bones don't feel it. It's just bizarre. So I was in a lot of pain. Sky Zone, their people were professionals. They were fantastic. They came over, asked if we wanted to do an ambulance or if we wanted to try to go to the ER ourselves. So we decided that we would just try to go to the ER ourselves, because why wouldn't you? I don't want to pay for an ambulance. Again, I'm not insured at this time, and I'm already, my first thought when I broke my leg, right when I thought, ouch. Then the next thought was, that sounded expensive. And so, and you know what, you can say it was dumb or whatever. That's fine. Sure, whatever. Sometimes dumb things happen. But they helped carry me out. And it was funny. They were kind of like, I was holding both their shoulders and I'm like hopping along. And they were like, there's a bench right over here. Do you want to take a rest? I was like, sure. But then I realized that we're up on a second floor there, and there's like some stairs, and that's where the wheelchair was. I was like, wait, is the wheelchair down there? Like, yeah. I'm like, then let's roll. Like, so hop down the stairs, get in the wheelchair, roll me out. And at this point, like I was in a lot of pain, but I was also trying to be as in best spirits as possible, because the worst thing you can do is panic. So the guy's like, hey, is there anything you can give me? And I was like, can you give me a new leg? And he's like, no. And I'm like, then I'm good. But they did refund our money. And then they gave us an hour of free jumping time. Like, hey, here's a voucher for an hour free jumping. We refunded your money, wishing you the best of luck. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I don't think I'm going to be using an hour of free jumping anytime soon. Like, ever, but appreciate it. So then After that, my wife, they had to swap around like the car seats. Our friends were going to take our daughter, and my wife was going to drive me. And so we got into the car after they swapped around all the car seats. And at this point, my body started kind of like coming to a little bit and realizing what had happened. So my body was like shaking and convulsing a little bit. I was beginning to lock up. I was beginning to hyperventilate. And so I got in the car, and my wife, Callie, is doing everything she can. She's doing what most people would do in this situation and driving slow and gentle. Like, I'm going to be careful with your leg. And I finally look at her. I'm like, just drive, man. Like, because here's what's crazy. Like, I never felt anything like this before, but I've never broken a bone before. But every vibration, like just the standard white noise in a car, all those little vibrations, I could feel every single one of them, just all the way up my muscles. And it was horrible. And our roads suck here in Indiana. So if you hit a pothole or a bump, it was just like instant skyrocket. If she ever had to turn, I could feel my ankle would, of course, like turn with the car. Like my ankle and foot just dangling, and it was horrible. So I'm like losing my mind. And of course, our entire way to the ER, every red light, people just walking in the middle of the street for like slowly for no reason and places they're not supposed to. I mean, everything you could possibly think of was happening. We get to the ER finally. They roll out a wheelchair, and I'm at this point breathing heavily. I'm hyperventilating. My body is shaking because the entire time I was riding, I had to have my knee up like this. So I was holding my leg up because I couldn't put pressure on it. So we get to the ER, and they're rolling me in, and all I'm seeing is just people everywhere. And I'm like, I cannot wait. There's no way I can wait. And then they called me back right away, and that was nice. But then there was this girl there, and she was like, all right, we need to take your vitals. And of course, I'm still holding up my leg. At this point, my body's locking up. My body's shaking. I'm hyperventilating even more. And so she puts one of the thing on my arm for her blood pressure. She puts a little thing on my finger, and she's like getting frustrated. She's like, I can't get your vitals. You need to, she says it pretty firmly. She's like, you need to like slow down your breathing and stop shaking. And I'm like, I need to take your vitals. And I'm like, I just looked at her. I was like, my blood pressure's high. I broke my leg. What more do you want from me? Like, I'm sorry. She finally gives up and just like sends me in the back, which is probably what you should have done to begin with, because I should be laying down. At this point, I had a broken leg for about 45 minutes. Without, pain meds or anything. So I get in there, I get in the ER, and the doctor in the ER, I almost said his name, but I don't want to put everyone's names out there, but he walks in, and he had the worst bedside manner in the best way. I can't repeat what he said on this channel, because he walked in and he just dropped a few choice words about my situation that were hilarious, but very blunt. Like basically he was like, yep, that's destroyed. Yeah, that's bad. That's not good. Like, you did a really good number on this. But mostly just being funny, trying to break like the tension as one does. And I do really well with that. I do better with dark humor. My pastor was there in 20 minutes. Our lead pastor here. I was surprised. He should be an ambulance driver. At least he has another career if pastoring doesn't work out. And it was at this point that he was like, hey, I can't promise you anything, but if the church can't help, we will. But we don't know. We can't look. We don't know. So we're going to see what we can do. But it would be my goal that you don't have to worry about any of this. But I also know this could be extremely expensive. And I was like, yeah, I know. That's fine. So we'll see what we can do. And what was crazy, so they put me under to set my foot. And when they put me under, come to find out, it did not work very well. I remember them moving my leg. I could feel it, them setting that. I could hear them telling me to calm down, but it's still kind of blurry. But come to find out, I was screaming, and it took 4 nurses to hold me down. So apparently and it was, by the way, like men, like it was pretty sweet, like four nurses. So apparently when I'm in pain, I gain superhuman strength. So that made me feel pretty at least good about myself. But what's crazy to me is that morphine did not even touch the pain. It was insane to me how much they were like, yeah, we've given you a lot. Yeah, it's not. And so anyway, that was crazy. So then they moved me upstairs, and they had me like scooch onto the bed, and that was painful, just like having to move. And then 10 minutes later, like, all right, we need to get on this bed. I'm like, come on. Like the pain just got done spiking from moving. So I hopped in that. They left me there for like 30 minutes. And then they drive me down to the CT scan, and that guy had to move me onto the CT bed. Luckily, he was the most gentle anyone was. And then he moved me back onto the stretcher so that just to go upstairs and move again. And every single time you moved, I mean, it went from like a 9 out of 10 to a 12 out of 10. Like it was just outrageously painful. Even though it was set at this point, I was actually surprised how much pain I was in. So then it was about 3:00 when all that ended, and they said the doctor would be in soon to talk to me. 7:00 rolls around, no doctor. I asked the nurse, like, hey, where's this doctor? Like, oh, he was done with the operation. He went home. But basically, he had scheduled me right when he first saw the x-ray in the ER. He scheduled me for the next time the operating room was available. And at first, I was like, that's really weird that a doctor didn't at least come and touch base with me. But then I met the doctor, and he was cooler than anything. He was huge in his, like, he had a tattoo on his arm that was the Star Wars Old Republic. So if you're familiar with Knights of the Old Republic, it's like only the nerds care, but they all know that that's the best Star Wars. Like the movies are one thing, but Knights of the Republic is where it's at. So I commented, I was like, nice tattoo. And he goes, you're down with the Sith Empire? And like, he's like, no one else knows what this represents. I'm like, I do. He's like, it's like, that's awesome. But he was a really cool guy. He actually came, he's like, by the way, he's like, I know I didn't come in because like kind of one of the nurses was mildly talking trash. Like, yeah, that's just not his style. Right when he walked in, and I was like, oh, there he is. And he's like, yeah, well, I live down the road. You're not waiting on me. I scheduled you as soon as I could. He's like, bottom line is he's like, you definitely did a number. And so I scheduled you as soon as I could. And so then this is when he explained it to me. He goes, well, how did you manage though to break that? He's like, that is a very unique break. And I told him how, and he goes, oh, that makes sense. He's like, well, just you're welcome to the Augmentation Club. I've had a very similar operation done to me. And I was like, really? He's like, I've had eight different bone breaks and operations. I was like, what? And if you look at him, like he just had that like athletic build where he probably does extreme sorts of sports. He just strikes me as the type. And he explains it to me though, how how it was going to be done. And essentially this is what they did. So my larger bone, I believe, is the tibia, right? And then the smaller bone on the outside, I think, is the fibula. I'm not an expert at this. But anyway, what they had to do is they take my main shin bone and they had to cut open my knee wide open and actually hollow out that bone, put in a rod to hold it together. Then on the smaller bone on the outside, they had to put a plate and drill hole, like screws into that to fasten it. Then screws on the top and the bottom to hold it all together. That was the operation. So they took me to the operating room at around 10:30, got it done, woke up, and I was in a boot. And yeah, we had friends come up. I had some visitors. I was supposed to teach our middle school the next day, but obviously wasn't unable. So actually a young man who's going to be interning here at the church and working with me, he came up and we walked through the passage of John 7 and just ways he could teach it and stuff. So I was heavily drugged at the time, but trying to make sure that the ministry was also operating, because the weirdest thing about ministry probably is the fact that there's no one who really takes over your job if you're not there. Like you're the guy. So you have to kind of make sure that if you're not there, all the pieces are filled in. So I wanted to make sure it went well. So got that taken care of. Some friends came and visited, and I was just like, get me out of this hospital. And the coolest part was the doctor who did the surgery was like, hey man, like you're young. You probably won't even need much physical therapy, but I am confident after the surgery and what I'm doing with you that you will be able to stand on that tonight. He's like, now it won't feel good, but it will support you. And then I thought, that's good to know. So then, therapy came in. They gave me crutches. They showed me how to work around them, taught me how to go up and down stairs with them. And as soon as I was able to like get me out of this hospital, I'm uninsured and this is going to be expensive, which remember it is, because $23,870 is not cheap. So we got out, and what was funny is that they had me on nerve blockers up to this point. It was about 6:30 when I got discharged. Got in the car and I was all numb and I was like, man, I feel pretty good. If this is how it is, this is nothing. I could drive around all day with this. I was wrong. So the hospital missed an important detail, and they missed the fact that my pharmacy was closed by the time of discharge. So I got to the pharmacy and I was unable to get my medication, and they didn't open till 10:00 Sunday morning, and it wasn't even ready until 10:30. So I took my medication after 10:30. This means that night, once the nerve number came off, the nerve blocker, I was in excruciating pain, and I had no other pain meds in my system since before I left the hospital. And I didn't get any until after 10:30 the next morning. So I went about 17, 18 hours without pain medication. And I cannot tell you the level of excruciating pain that was, because I don't only have an incision on my, around my ankle where the break was. I have a big incision there. I have a bunch of little incisions, which actually right now hurt more than the big incisions. That's a new feature. But I'm told it's a feature, not a bug. So there's that. And then my knee being sliced open as well. I was in excruciating pain, almost like breaking down. Like the oxycodone took till about 4 a.m. Monday morning to finally kick in. It was a lot. I mean, it was just a lot. That's just the reality of it. So super painful. But then, came home. And this is the coolest part, that my church came around me right away. Some people, they found a recliner for me. It's one of the big fluffy ones, which I needed desperately. They brought it Sunday morning, and which is better than this little armchair I had. And they brought it in. Now, here's the funny part, is that it's camouflage. And if you know anything about me, I hate camouflage. But also, the room I'm staying in primarily is like my office, and I was going to prep the walls for that the weekend I broke my leg for painting. The house needs a lot of work. And what ended up happening was they bring this camouflage recliner in this pink room from the previous owners. The pink room is from their daughters. Like they had their daughter's room in there. But the reason why we picked this room is that it's this room here, my bedroom, and then the bathroom all on the top floor, and the kitchen. So there's basically everything I need is in that top floor, and it's the best room for me to stay in without keeping my wife up at night if I'm in a lot of pain, or if my daughter is up and down, it's not waking me up. So basically it's the best way to keep me kind of away from everybody while also accessible to everything. So I'm in like this the last 3 weeks, I've been pretty much full time in this pink room with a camouflage recliner. We set up the TV on the piano. There's just been all sorts of funny stuff. Like, it's just where, you make do when this sort of thing happens. So what ended up happening is that first week was agonizing. I could barely move. Some of the crazy stuff that would happen was like going to the bathroom. Like, you literally thank the Lord I'm a man, because I would feel so bad for women, but they gave me like a bottle to pee in that I could just like pee in in the recliner, which was nice. And my wife would have to go empty it because getting up was ridiculous. Now, granted, by the way, I should have probably warned you before I said that this is a medical video. So you're going to see some stuff. You're going to hear some stuff, right? It is what it is. But just letting you guys know what the whole process was. So that way you guys kind of get an idea of what I've been going through and why I am mentioning, like, hey, your help would be great. And also, I feel like because you guys probably are curious as to how it all went down. If you're anything like me, I have a morbid curiosity. Let's be honest. We all do it on a highway. If we see an accident, we all slow down and look. So this is your way of slowing down and looking at my situation. I'll show you pictures of everything at the end. So my wife, though, this is the craziest part. My wife, now you have to remember, she's 4'10". So she is not a tall woman. I am 6 foot. I tower over her. So to get up, they gave us this strap that she would have to strap around my chest, and she would have to get in a squatting position and grab this strap and pull me up and hold me there while I like regain my situation. And so after about 3 days, she was like, let's try to get you a shower. Which means, that we had to get a chair to sit in it. I had to stick my leg out. It couldn't get wet. And she had to shower me. I was in such excruciating pain just to go into the shower, and to the bathroom in general. It was so much. It was a lot. So it was mostly me just holding myself steady while she took care of me. And but my wife is also funny. She knows I do better with joking about the situation than like the awkward sympathy of like, oh, honey, are you okay? Like, don't give me that. Like, crack a joke, make me laugh, because the sympathy doesn't make me feel better, but laughing does. So like, she's like, all right. So when I was like putting on deodorant and I was brushing my teeth, just sitting there, she goes, all right, I'll be right back. And then she opens the door and she goes, all right, wash the dog. Now time to do the dishes. And I was like, what'd you call me? And then she just like disappears and she comes back. She's like, I'm messing. But anyway, so there's been a lot of funny jokes. My wife has talked trash and then been like, what are you going to do? Catch me? That's been funny. But anyway, then I was able to, after my first week, the following week, I was able to make it to church. Within that week, I felt terrible, but it was agony, but it was coming down from like continual agony to like kind of controllable agony, if that makes sense. I wanted to go to church, and so we piled in. It took me about almost 2 hours to get ready that morning, just because it was really difficult to get around. It was a lot of pain, but I wanted to go to church. I couldn't help but feel like, what the devil would want the most, what Satan would want, what the world would want, is when something like this happens, is for you to just wait it out and get out of the habits, get out of being there. And one of the things is that Sunday we were going to do this huge fundraiser, because one of the cool parts about being the youth director here is when I first got here, we had about 15 students that would come, give or take. We have now about 30 that will come. And that is such a huge number. We've doubled. Because, they really wanted to make a push for the youth department. And, I made that push. And one of the things I didn't want the students to, I didn't want to lose that momentum we had. We have a good thing going. We have awesome leaders. Everyone's engaged. We have this big fundraiser we're doing, because we originally had one budget, but once we've doubled, we have summer activities we're going to do. And once we doubled in size, that changes your budget. So we did the big fundraiser, and it's huge. It was a big success. We blew past our goal. It was awesome. So I was like, I want to be there for the fundraiser. I want the kids to see me there. I want to be around my church community. I want to worship the Lord and I want to worship Jesus Christ in song. I want to hear the word of God. That was something that was like, that's something that when and I don't know if anyone else is like this, but I think we should be like this. But whenever I'm going through something like that, I want to engage in that way. I want to be at my church, because that's where my community is. That's where my friends exist. That's where my ministry is, all that stuff. Of course, the first Sunday that, because I had my surgery on Saturday, the first Sunday I did not make it to church. I watched that online, but the following week I made sure I was there. So it was painful. It was only a 10-minute drive. Thank the Lord, because I don't think I could have gone much more. And like I said, you feel every single one of those bumps. My leg locks up. One of the worst parts that entire first week was muscle spasms, especially. I still had them the second week, but the first week was horrible. My muscles would just spasm. And that would just cause so much freaking pain. I can't even describe to you. So we got out of there. It was great. That Wednesday, we ended up canceling youth group because we had multiple tornadoes in the area. And I was like, let's not do youth group. I wasn't even sure. Like, I was going to try to at least make it for a little bit, but I was going to have somebody else primarily step in there. And we ended up not doing that. So then I went to church again the next Sunday, which I felt a lot better, but I still was in a lot of pain. Getting in a car was still very difficult. And that's because, come to find out, underneath all my wrappings were staples. And the staples do a really good job. Okay. They make sure nothing goes anywhere. Like, they want to make sure that doesn't open up and that doesn't move. And let me tell you, they do their job, because moving my leg like more than like 30% I instantly felt the tension start pulling, and I didn't know what was underneath all the bandages. But once they said they needed to remove my staples, it all made sense. So after I went to church again that Sunday, that Monday I had my staples removed, and that's when I saw exactly how gnarly it was. And that's when, of course, then that Wednesday I saw my primary care physician, and he said that, yes, I broke my bone in the worst possible place besides my femur itself. He's like, you really did a number on this. And he's like, so don't expect for you to be bouncing back quickly. It's going to be a slow process. But I will say this is week 3. And after getting my staples removed, it's weird because I feel so much better in a way. My bandages are gone. My leg can breathe again. It was so nice to just feel that come off and be able to take a shower normally, because after they took all that off, I was actually able to take showers, but they just said let soap and water run down it. Don't like scrub it, and don't like put water directly on it. If it's just water comes down, they put these little like these bandages that are basically kind of like stitches to hold it together. And they said that they'll fall off on their own in the next week or two. But by the way, people say staples are nothing. That was not nothing. That sucked. I had a few of them that hurt really bad. But I was also told, have it on good authorities, because it was on meaty sections, and the more meat that's there, the more it hurts. So that was good. But they said that the healing is going very well. Everything's going exactly the way they'd want it to go, but it's just a long process. So So it feels better in one way because I can move my leg more than ever before. Like when I'm on my crutches, I can do kind of like a walking motion, but I can't put a lot of weight on it yet. It's actually really bizarre too, because like if I put my foot on the ground, all I feel are pins and needles. My entire leg is still swollen. I have bruises about almost up to my knee. It's gnarly. It just is what it is. But what hurts now is my knee a little bit. My knee hurts if it gets turned one way or the other, or if I bend it too much. But I can just bend it more than before. But what hurts the most now is actually around the ankle, because now it's exposed. And on top of that, if I'm not wearing my boot, and they said like I only wear my boot when walking, if I'm sitting, like go ahead, take it off, let it breathe, and then I have to start doing exercises and like stretching the tendons. And that feels weird because I can feel the tendons like up my calf when I move it, and I can only move so much because they're kind of getting resettled. So it hurts a lot if it moves and if I twitch. And by the way, I have done that. Like I twitch sometimes in my sleep, and so I'll twitch and my foot will go boing, and then I just spike in pain. Like it's it's like it goes straight to 10. It's it's really annoying. It's very unfortunate when it happens to you at like 3 a.m. But so anyway, with all that said, it ends up being this weird thing where once I take off the boot, now the boot was supporting my foot and making sure that none of the muscles had to be used. Now it has to be used, and those muscles are all on fire because you'll see in the pictures, or you might have seen them already, all the ways that they had to like cut open that entire spot. So my muscles are just a mess down there. But it is sitting at a desk, actually, like what I'm doing right now, is getting easier, but it actually hurts. Like right now I'm in pain. It hurts worse to sit down in a normal chair or in a car than it does to even stand. With standing actually is more soothing. If I can't recline it, I'd rather stand. That's just part of it because, again, it's just the angles of how the tendons stretch and stuff. But it is at least to the point right now where I can tolerate it for a little while. And it used to be if I sat like this, I could only handle it for about 10 minutes max, and then spasms would start and other problems would start, and it would just be miserable. So I'm glad that part's over, but now we just have other problems. I've said regularly during this entire process, it feels like I am constantly trading one pain for the other. And when I would try to sleep at night, which I could not sleep, my first week, I only got about 2 hours of sleep a night, maybe. The second week, I got maybe 4 hours of broken up sleep a night. And the reason for that is because my hip to my knee is supported one way, but then my knee to my foot is supported by all the stuff knee to foot. But my knee is torn apart and my ankle and foot area is torn apart. So it was like I'm either relieving pressure from my knee and hurting my ankle area, or I'm relieving my ankle area and hurting my knee because of the weight distribution. There's no way to kind of get that without sleeping on my back entirely, but I also cannot, I'm not able to sleep on my back. I'm a side or stomach sleeper. I really struggle sleeping on my back. So I would try to sleep on my back, and that's why I'd only get a couple hours of sleep. It was very difficult. So yeah, that's that. Now, granted, the students here have been awesome. Our executive director's son, he called me wheelchair, which is hilarious. They've been called, of course, Gimpy, Crutchley, all the good names, which is great because it just makes it a lot of fun. We did do students this last week, which was great. I was definitely ready to go home at the end of it because I was there from like 5 to 8. But most of it was sitting with my foot reclined. That's primarily what I was doing. Yeah, that's that. So that was kind of the main thing. My daughter's been hilarious. When she first saw me in the hospital, she was very uncomfortable with me. For the first few days at home, she was uncomfortable with me. Now she's fascinated with my boo-boo because I have it, it's all more exposed now. And so I'll show you those pictures here in a minute. So anyway, that is the main story. The doctors were very helpful. The ER doctor, he was funny, but I can't even repeat half of what he said. But I mean, since that one drug didn't work on me when he put me under, it was apparently the same drug that Bill Cosby and Michael Jackson used. So he did make the comment to my wife. He goes out to her, he's like, yep, we set the foot, everything's set the leg, everything's where it needs to be. So I say foot, even though it's not my foot that's broken, but it's because my foot was dangling. So in my mind, it's the foot, but it's really the leg. He's like, we fixed the leg. And just so you know, that is not his date rape drug. And just walked away from my wife. Oh, it's hilarious. But my daughter has been very concerned. Luckily for us, our friends who are there at the park, they've been a huge help because life doesn't slow down just because one person is injured. And they've been helping us out a ton, watching our daughter, making sure like, I'm taking care of like food if my wife has to work, stuff like that. It's been absolutely fantastic. Just having friends and support of all that. So that is what basically happened. That's essentially the story. Now I'm at the point where I'm trying to get strength back, but I am still stuck in a boot. And it's so weird because I'm getting to the point where I can put some weight on it. But there's also times where I'll put some weight on it and my knee just goes bloop and just goes, no, we can't do that right now. The muscle atrophy is real. Like I can look at my leg and just go, wow, that's smaller. Like it is crazy. So I now know what people have gone through. And I never thought it was a walk in the park. I never thought it was easy. I always thought it looked horrible and painful. And it is. Don't enjoy this. But if you could, and you would like to, and you want to give to help at my recovery fund, you can give to the GoFundMe. And that would be a huge help. We have to raise, if I want to cover everything, it is $23,870. And I've raised a little over 8,000 because some people have not little over, almost $8,000. And because some people have given me stuff privately away from the GoFundMe. But that's kind of where I'm at. Anything, if I happen to somehow get extra, which I don't think I would, but if I do happen to surpass my goal, any extra will be given to someone else in need. I am not looking to make a profit off of this. I'm just looking to make sure my family is financially taken care of enough to be, to not be a problem. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to share my screen with you, and I am going to show you a little bit of what has gone on behind the scenes. And Google Drive was being so difficult on uploading these, and I was trying to do them in order, and it's not going to. So whatever, I'm just going to comment as we go. Okay. That way you guys can see what's going on. So what I'm going to do is this. This is my my wonderful little Google Drive here. And so this is me the next day after. This is me watching Pastor Brett speak. He does mention me in the sermon. He's like, yeah, that guy who preached last week, he broke his leg. So if you guys play Helldivers 2, and your character, when he gets injured, screams, my leg. I now understand that more so than I'd like. But this is me chilling out. Got my sweet pillows there. You can see my little hospital sticky socks. That on that piano there where the TV's at and the PS5, by the way, and that little strap there, that's the one that my wife would use to pick me up when I was absolutely falling apart. And right here is me just sending an update to people like, hey, I did it. We made it. So we got that. Then we got me. Hey, I survived. This is my daughter. She likes to snuggle me in my camouflage recliner in that pink room, as you can tell. It's hilarious, but she is super cute. And my favorite part of probably of going through all this is I get a lot of snuggles, and I normally don't get a lot of snuggles. That's normally mom's thing, and I'm normally the one who goofs around or is working. So it's kind of nice to get the snuggles. This is my daughter drinking juice while I'm propped up, just drinking some coffee. She's drinking juice. I think we were watching Finding Nemo in this picture for her first time, and she was like obsessed. This is one of the funniest things. So once I got all of the things removed, my daughter became obsessed with inspecting my feet because the bottom of my bad foot has all these spots on it from the bruising, like broken blood vessels and stuff like that. And this is her looking at my good foot, and she needed her flashlight. Eliana needed the flashlight to do an inspection. So my wife got this picture, and it was super funny. This is us looking at my injury on my knee and just taking a look at that. And my daughter was liking, this was one of the funniest things. She loved looking at the picture of these gnarly pictures and then looking at my Band-Aids, like those staple, not the staples, but the bandages that they put over the holes. She loved looking at that and then matching them. Just match. Like she just thought it was the funniest thing ever and just loved matching it up. So my daughter's probably got a stronger stomach than most people. This is just a nice little picture of us. This is those little bandages, and my daughter just wanting to get as close as possible to them, just to look at it. Eliana just thinks it's the greatest thing ever. So I'm like, there it is. Let's take a nice, easy, close look. Don't touch. And this is T-minus probably 10 minutes before the incident itself. This is Ellie and I just jumping around. This is a mid-air thing. Eliana was having such a good time. So us just jumping, no big deal. This is like basically this is like how it was going, you know. This is at the little foam square pit. She loved it. I just pick her up and throw her in it, and she just thought it was the greatest thing ever. Just launch her. But then that's how it went, you know. So how it was going and how it went. This was when that lady was trying to get my vitals, and I was shaking and hyperventilating, and she was telling me to just basically calm down. My favorite part. She goes, "You need to slow down your breathing, or else you're going to pass out." And I was like, "If I pass out, will the pain stop?" And she's like, "Well, wouldn't it be good?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't know. If the pain stops, it sounds like it'd be pretty good." So I got a little snarky, but also, you know, when you're telling that guy who broke his leg to like stop shaking and breathing heavily, like, I don't know what you expect. This is me just sitting there looking at Callie, like basically being like, I can't believe that just happened to us. I'm holding up my leg. It is broken. You can't really see it in this picture very well. Callie didn't get a very good picture of it, but there on one side of the leg was this bump that was just sticking right out. Just sticking right out. It was awesome. And by awesome, I mean not awesome at all. This is me laying in the ER. You can see I am in my face says, I hate everything. And that's because I'm in a ton of pain right there. I am not making that face because of my IV, by the way. I don't really care about IVs, but my leg was also killing me and they were moving things. So I was just being treated. This is me grimacing, hating everything once again. This is after they set my leg. Now I'm just on my phone telling people what's going on. My buddy Ian Renwick, he's been on this channel before. He called me right away. I was like, bro, what happened? And I told him, and he goes, dude, you got to remember, you're over 30 now. You can't be doing that stuff. Your ego is writing checks your body can't cash. That has become my mantra now, that my ego was writing checks my body can't cash. Still think that's one of the funniest things on the planet. This was after they set my foot, me just sitting there trying to get some rest. So that's the splint that you're seeing there. That was pre-surgery. This is me trying to read. It was very difficult to read because one, I was on drugs, and two, I was in a lot of pain, but I was just trying to do anything I could to distract myself because the little TV there at the hospital didn't have anything at all on it. It was just like standard cable. They didn't even have casting or YouTube. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? I could watch a debate or something and at least have some form of entertainment. But nope. This is me passed out trying to read. This is me still passed out trying to read. But this is after surgery. This is when I finally got to see Eliana after I had my operation. It was really good to see her. It made me feel warm and fuzzy. This was after the operation. As you can tell, I had my boot. I could not sleep without this thing for the first 2 weeks. I finally got that off Monday. But I had to wear that full time, and it was super gross and smelly. This was me on the nerve blocker. I was in a way better mood at this point, giving Callie a thumbs up as she went to give me take a photo of me. So hello, everybody. Then this is me just chilling at home with my daughter. My wife made some sick curry. It was so good. But I'm pretty sure we were probably watching Frozen at this point. My daughter, you'll notice, is wearing a Frozen dress. She is obsessed with Frozen. This is the cutest picture of all time. Just look at it. Just look at it. You look at that and you're going to tell me that's not adorable. Come on. This is after they removed everything and finally got to see it for the first time. This made the pain make a lot of sense. So just so you guys are aware, that big line there, this big line here is from the main incision where they had to put in the rod down my leg through the bone. These little holes here are screw holes. They had to cut open those and put screws in those and then patch it up. This is the where the plate went. As you can tell, that was not awesome. So now it made a lot of sense why I was like, I felt like I kept telling my wife, I felt like I was constantly either trying to relieve pain in my knee or in my ankle. And then once I saw this, I'm like, that makes so much sense why I was in so much pain there. And then all those little holes, otherwise, those little pinches and holes that you're seeing down there are also screw holes. This is the front of my leg. Tell me that's not Frankenstein. That is Frankenstein. Like, that is madness, man. Look at all the little punched holes in there. It was not great. That was terrible. So yeah, that is that. Then they took all that out and we're at where we're at. And so, yeah, that is the full story behind the scenes. So what's the moral of the story? 1, never go to Sky Zone. Don't ever go to trampoline park. Don't do it. Doesn't matter if you're athletic and you know how to do flips and you know how to do those things and you're normally pretty capable at it. Just takes one mistake and your leg breaks in half. 2, Don't go to those when you don't have health insurance. Don't do that. I know that it seems like common sense to everybody, but you have to also, so this is the other thing you have to understand. I went to the hospital one time in the last 10 years. And that was last year when I had my kidney stone. And once I realized it was a kidney stone, I just toughed it out, right? Like, just because there's nothing else I could do. It wasn't big enough and basically it cost me like $3,000 too. Like, I went into the hospital, cost me $3,000, and this is what they did. Yep, we scanned it. You have a 5 millimeter stone. It's going to suck. It's just small enough to where we don't do surgery on it. Yeah, here are some pain meds and drink water. Have a good day. That'll be $3,000, please. So I just don't like to go to the doctors. Like, I'm just that guy who doesn't like it because it costs a lot of money, and half the time it feels like they don't really help me. So it's very frustrating. And so I haven't gone to the doctor. I haven't needed to go to the doctor. I've been healthy. Even when I moved here, I changed my dietary plan. I've been working out. I've been being healthy and doing all those things. And then this happened. It's such a freak thing. So that's why I felt like it was a decently calculated risk where we didn't need health insurance because we don't really use it, but I wanted it just in case. And unfortunately, my just in case happened 3 weeks or so before, about 3 weeks or a month before her insurance actually kicked in. So bad luck. You just can't make this stuff up. It is what it is. So like I said, we've been surrounded by people who want to help. People at church want to help. They are like, in an ideal world, we would rather you not have to worry about it, but also it really depends on budget. So there's the different leaders that are trying to get together, so what they can and can't do, but also we do need help. I just know that for a fact. And so, it would be a huge help if you are able to give. My wife and my daughter would be very appreciative as well. And I should mention that about my wife, Callie. I offered, I was like, hey, babe, you want to come upstairs and record this with me? And she was in here. She's like, I don't want to be on the camera. Like, she has only agreed to do Patreon only streams, which we were going to schedule. And then I broke my leg. She's like, nope, I only a small group of people. I'm not looking to, be all over the internet. And I'm like, that's fine. But I will say this, I'm so thankful for my wife. Everyone's freaking out about the Harrison Butker speech, and I'm over here just like applauding him, because when you have a wife who is an amazing homemaker, who cares for her family more than anything else, it means the world, and it changes everything. She has, like, Wednesday, she had to be at work by 5 a.m. She came home without a complaint in the world around 11 because she only works part-time. She took care of our toddler. She came in, made me food. She took care of me, brought me whatever I needed. She took a quick nap, which only lasts about 30 minutes, got up, cleaned the house. And then she knew it was important that I went to students that evening. And since I had my staples removed, it's only a 10-minute drive, I'm able to make that. And she zips up and goes, hey, it's notice is important to you. And so I'm going to drop you off here, and I'll let our kid down and come home back and pick you up. She did that. And she worked endlessly that day, basically, besides like a 30-minute nap, for about 16 hours, taking care of me, taking care of my daughter, helping me take care of my church, and never complained. And she's been doing this sort of thing the entire time, just taking care of me, taking care of my daughter. And it is the most humbling experience ever. And my wife is such an incredible woman. She does so much for our family, doesn't expect anything in return, does very little for herself, but lives to serve us. And it is always a challenge to me. She's such an example for our daughter that I hope my daughter takes on all her mother's traits and none of mine, essentially. And I just want to make sure that everyone is aware, like, it is way better to marry somebody who actually cares for you than to marry for any other reasons. And because when the time gets tough, for better or for worse, that you guys, it's so vital that you guys can count on each other. They don't turn on each other. My wife could have said, you were an idiot. You shouldn't have done that flip. You put us in a financial bind. You risked everything just to be stupid. She didn't do any of those things. She never put me down. When she did, it was always out of a joke, right? Like, just watch the dog. Now time to do the dishes, something like that, where it was all in good fun. And I can't tell you how thankful I am for that. And in a world today that discounts marriage, that discounts traditional values, I can't help but wonder, like, if that is one of the many reasons why we see so much depression, so many problems, because in all honesty, like, we have gotten rid of that which makes marriage important, which is the actual companionship of it. You know, when she is going through a hard time, I need to stand beside her. And when I'm going through a hard time, she stands beside me. And there is nothing more important than finding a spouse that's willing to do that. She never has put me down. She has never yelled at me. I can tell certain days she's just tired. And I do everything I can to be as to be as needyless as possible, to not complain, to not need things. I just try to be as easy to take care of as possible, but to have a wife that I know I can count on is huge. Having a daughter who just she's conscientious but curious of everything. It is just, to be surrounded by a church that came around and is doing everything it can to help take care of me is a big deal. But the reality is that I have all those things, but the one thing that that we need is financial support. And that is an unfortunate reality of our lives, that we do need financial support. That financial support is not something that is easy to come by. And it's also one of those things where it's just part of it. So anyway, guys, this is me just kind of putting myself out there. This is us just saying, here's our need. And if you could help meet our need, that would be awesome. And if not, we understand. You need to take care of your own needs before you worry about our needs. But if you are able, or the Lord presses on your heart and you feel like you should give, then do so. But also don't be that person who just gives and puts your family totally at risk, or when you have other needs that need to be met. Only give that which you can. So, and if you can't give, please just share along the link and just make a nice note on there of advocating for it. That'd be a huge help in and of itself. So that link is in the description below. You will find that there. So I just wanted to quickly say, hey guys, I appreciate all your support, all your love, and all your care. You still won't see much content from me because I did break my driving foot, and I always record at night when my daughter is in bed and my wife is home with my daughter. So I always drive up to the studio, and that's when I record. Unfortunately, I can't get up the stairs and drive here really by myself. I might be able to get up the stairs, but I also could fall, because I have fallen multiple times on stairs, but been caught. So it's just tricky. It's tricky right now. So you might not see as much content, which is unfortunate, because I wanted to talk about Harrison Butker. I still will when I come back, probably. I want to talk about a few of the other situations that are now going to be old news, but I definitely have thoughts on some things. They're just things we got. I definitely have content planned. I just not going to be able to get to it for a minute. So we really appreciate your love, your support, and all your prayers, guys. And if there is anything we could ever do for you, please feel free to reach out. This is not just a YouTube channel to me. This is also a ministry. And that's how we've always looked at this. So anyway, I hope this has been a blessing to you guys, or if nothing else, entertaining. And if those pictures just made you cringe, join the club. But apparently my daughter, who's 3, has stronger stomachs than most adults, because most adults see that and they were like, that was disgusting, and made me gag. And my daughter's over there like, ooh, I want to touch it. So anyway, guys, this has been fun. I will see you next time on the church split, whenever that may be. Again, prayers for a quick recovery, especially for the pain to go away and for strength to return to my leg, especially as I go forward in Serbia to help in that missions trip and lead it. That's going to be interesting. So, but the doctor said I should be able to go. I'll just have to take it easy and just be careful. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, guys, take care and God bless, and we'll see you next time.